Then they released him on an amnesty, and he escaped again. But very wisely went all the way to Germany, crossed 3 borders.
Where I work with people and trying to understand them better. Like, was there like something that really like scratched the itch for you?
No, when I was growing up, not really. I liked history and languages. I'm the child of immigrants who came from the former Yugoslavia. My mother grew up in a prisoner of war camp as a child.
Prisoner of war camp?
Yes, in what is now Serbia.
Whoa.
Because she had part of her side of the family was German, and they were German settlers who had settled that part of Hungary, northern Serbia, parts of Romania called Banat.
During the war?
No, for 300 years.
Oh, 300 years. Oh,
they
wow.
were part of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire and had settled. They were farmers.
Got
and so her relatives are that. Well, during World War II, the young ones signed up to fight with the Wehrmacht, with the German army. Yeah. And matter of fact, and her uncle was in the Wehrmacht. He was taken prisoner at Stalingrad in 1943, the 92,000 who surrendered.
Did they live?
Well, he was sent to a POW camp in Siberia for 5 years, where he lost both legs due to frostbite. Yeah. And he was released in an amnesty and went back to Europe and settled in Switzerland, where he became a happy, successful businessman. But so she, because of her family history, even as a kid, she was tainted. So she spent several years in a camp and was released in an amnesty. My father, who's from Slovenia, grew up during the war, and right after the war, he was a teenager. So he was drafted by the then Yugoslav military under Tito as a teenage kid and spent 2 years in Bosnia building roads. The country had been destroyed.
Yes.
So they had to rebuild it. And then he was restless. He wanted to leave and get out, but you couldn't leave Yugoslavia then. That was a capital offense.
So it was a capital offense just to leave?
Yeah, just like in East Germany or back then in the Soviet Union, you couldn't just leave.
Yeah, they're part of the Soviet bloc.
Yeah, that'd get you in a lot of trouble. So he escaped over the mountains into Austria, turned himself in, and the Austrians sent him back. And so the Yugoslav government threw him in prison for 3 years.
They didn't kill him, though.
No, threw him in prison for a couple of years. Then they released him on an amnesty, and he escaped again. But very wisely went all the way to Germany, crossed 3 borders, and found his way to an American military base and said, I want to join the military and serve. They go, sure. He spoke 4 languages. We'll take you.
They're like, here's a gun. Let's go, boy.
So he was military police for a couple of years.
Wow.
And my mom had gone to Germany with her family after the amnesty when they got out. So they met in Germany and then were able to immigrate to the United States in 1956.
Because he served in the Army.
Because he served in the Army under the Lodge Act, which was a 1950s act, which allowed people who were serving in the military from Eastern European communist countries at that time. So Poland, then Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria, Hungary, Yugoslavia could get basically an expedited green card if they had served in the military.
Wow.
So that's how he ended up coming to the U.S. and how I was the oldest kid born in the U.S.
But that's also built into your parents.
Yeah.
From their childhood and growing up into young adults to where they grow up in the aftermath, essentially, of World War II. Like you said, your dad's growing up during the war, and then afterwards when Europe is just like kind of a shit show. Let's call it what it is. And they understand, regardless of what governments were, vying for power at the time. Of course, you had communism all over the place, but then a bunch of new governments trying to like set up and like create, the new future and whatever. It's like they understand. It's built into them,
and
what freedom means.
Freedom means a lot, and that was our dinner table conversation. Yeah, they got engaged on a flight to East Berlin.
To East, I was getting mixed up. That was Soviet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And he pulled out the ring on the plane, and the stewardesses were pouring wine, and then they get to Berlin, and he was part of the military, and he disappeared for a couple of days, and my mom just walked around, and they went to Checkpoint Charlie, and he said, I'll see you in 2-3 days. Just hang out at the hotel. That's how they got engaged.
Wow.
And but I grew up with that sense of history, so that's what I liked, was history and languages. My first language was Slovene, and then in college,
Your mom spoke that in the house? with
she
you?
learned it from my dad. She spoke German and Serbian.
Oh, I'm
My
sorry,
dad
that's
spoke
right.
Serbian and Slovene. So she learned Slovene. So as a kid, I learned Slovene. And then when I was in college, I studied what was then called Serbo-Croatian, because my parents moved back to Yugoslavia. I was going to take French or Russian. And my dad said, no, I'm going to Yugoslavia for my work.
Wait, he moved back
They
there?
moved back there, yeah.
While it was still communist?
No, yeah, under Tito in the mid 70s when I was in college.
Why?
For his work.
I know, but like you couldn't find work somewhere else, or
Well, nah, that was his line of work, working in business.
was he a hitman?
He was an import-export businessman.
Yeah, so a hitman, right?
I
I've had
repeat,
cartel guys in here who were import exporters. This isn't getting by me.
no, he told me I'm a businessman and I travel and I sell things to people.
Right.
So
A great story. I'm surprised the psychiatrist didn't dig into that one a little more.
that's as far as I could get.
Yeah. So he goes back while you're in college, but you're in college.
And
here.
he said, take Serbo-Croatian so you can come visit and in the summers and that, and you can communicate. So I did that. It was fun. I had a really good teacher and spent a year there. Took a year off, spent a year in Belgrade.
What was that like then?
Oh, Belgrade's nice. I like Belgrade. I like the people. The food's good. The people are friendly. You know, I was doing a few little odd jobs interpreting here and there for my dad in his business meetings. That was a trip. You know, interpreting with drunken Serbian businessmen, and the greetings would start with a torrent of foul language. And I said, "You want me to translate that?" He goes, "Yep."
Dad, they're saying that they're gonna pay you for the hit after you do it. What does that mean?
So I improved my language skills, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So when I got out of college, I had a history degree, and I'd study these languages, and I was kind of lost. So at that point, my family had moved to Vienna, Austria, where my extended family has lived there since '79.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.